The book wasn't hers. Clara found it wedged between two thick, untouched volumes in the back corner of the university library, a place where forgotten things went to gather dust and silence. The cover was worn, its spine cracked in a way that suggested it had been loved too many times to count. She only pulled it out because she needed anything to distract her from the quiet ache of being alone. It wasn't until she flipped to the third page that she noticed the writing. Not printed, handwritten. In the margin, in dark, slightly slanted ink, someone had scribbled. "This is the line that broke me." Clara blinked, rereading the sentence it pointed to. It was nothing extraordinary, just a passage about a character leaving home. But somehow, knowing it had meant something to someone else made it feel heavier. More real. Curious, she turned the page. Another note waited for her. "I wonder if anyone else will ever care about this part." Clara smiled faintly. "I do," she whispered, though she didn't know who she was answering. From that day on, the book became hers, not officially, but in the quiet, secret way that mattered more. She came back to it between classes, tracing the stranger's thoughts scattered through the margins. Some notes were thoughtful, some messy, some just a single word, "why?" or "beautiful." It felt like a conversation across time. And one afternoon, without really planning to, Clara picked up a pen. Next to one of the notes, she wrote, "Someone cared. I'm here." Her heart raced as if she'd done something forbidden. Maybe she had. But when she closed the book, she felt something unfamiliar and warm settle in her chest. Days passed. Then a week. When she returned, her fingers trembled as she opened the book again. She wasn't sure what she expected, nothing, probably. It had been silly to think. But there it was. A reply. "You're here." The handwriting was the same. Slightly slanted. Unmistakable. Clara laughed softly, her breath catching. "Yes," she wrote beneath it. "I think I've been here for a while." And just like that, the margins came alive. They never used names. They didn't need to. Their words filled the empty spaces between printed lines, small thoughts at first, then longer ones. They spoke about the book, then about their days, their fears, their favorite songs, the way the rain sounded on certain mornings. It became their place. Their secret. Weeks turned into months. Clara began to notice patterns. The stranger, whoever they were, always wrote late at night. Their ink sometimes smudged, as if written in a hurry or in the dim light of a lamp. They liked sad endings, but always argued they were more honest than happy ones. "Happy endings feel like lies," they once wrote. Clara had paused before replying. Maybe. Or maybe they're just harder to believe in. For the first time, the stranger didn't answer right away. When they finally did, the handwriting was softer, almost hesitant. "I want to believe in them." Clara pressed her fingers to the page, right over the words, as if she could reach through them. "Then let's write one," she replied. Days passed. No answer. The silence stretched, heavy and unfamiliar. Clara checked the book every day, her hope thinning like fragile thread. Had she said too much? Crossed a line that wasn't meant to be crossed? Finally, on the 5th day, she found a new note. It wasn't in the margins this time. It was on a loose piece of paper tucked between the pages. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. "If this is real, if you're real, meet me tomorrow. 6 p.m. by the old clock tower across the river." There was a pause before the last line, as if the writer had hesitated. "I'll bring the book." Clara read it 3 times, her heart pounding louder with each word. The next day felt impossibly long. Every second stretched, every thought tangled itself in doubt. What if it wasn't what she imagined? What if it was nothing like the quiet, beautiful connection they'd built in ink and silence? But at 5:58 p.m., she stood by the clock tower anyway. The sky was painted in soft gold and fading blue, the river catching the last light of the day. People passed by, their lives moving forward as if this moment wasn't balancing on the edge of everything. At exactly 6 p.m., someone approached. Clara saw the book first, the worn cover, the cracked spine. Then she looked up. He looked just as nervous as she felt. Dark hair slightly messy, eyes searching until they landed on hers. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then he held up the book, a small, uncertain smile forming. "I didn't know if you'd come." Clara let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "I didn't know if you would either." They laughed softly, the tension breaking just enough. "Can I ask you something?" he said after a moment. "Okay." He opened the book, flipping to a page near the middle. There, in the margin, was one of her first replies. Someone cared. "I'm here." He looked back at her. "Did you mean it?" Clara met his gaze, her heart steady now in a way it hadn't been before. "Yes," she said. "I meant every word." He nodded, as if that was all he needed to hear. And as they stood there, the space between them no longer filled with ink and paper but with something real and fragile and alive, Clara realized something she hadn't expected. Some love stories aren't written in grand gestures or perfect moments. Some are scribbled quietly in the margins. And somehow, those are the ones that stay.